you're an entrepreneur and you used AI to generate your contract and you think that you're protected, well, I'm the attorney on the other side, and I want to thank you because that contract that you just generated, I'm going to break it and I'm going to tear it apart in court and show you how weak it is. So today, I'll show you the 5 ways that I'm going to break your AI generated contract, what's missing, what's inconsistent, and what gets used against you in court that you have no idea about. And then I'll show you what a good contract actually looks like. And it's better you find out now than later when it's too late. Look, I get it. AI makes everything faster and lawyers are expensive. It looks professional, sounds legal. You hit generate, download that PDF, and you send it to your client, your business partner, whatever. You think you handle it legally correct. You've created a document, though, that a lawyer like me can dismantle in a matter of minutes in court, and I'll show you exactly how. But real quick, if you want to know right now whether or not your contracts are leaving you legally exposed, and I bet they are, grab the free risk report in the description below. Just click the link. It'll literally take you 5 minutes, shows you exactly where your gaps are and how to fix your legal vulnerabilities before it's too late. So here's what entrepreneurs believe when they use AI generated contracts, and this is the real problem. They believe that those contracts are comprehensive. They believe that those contracts cover the basis. They believe it's close enough to what a lawyer would write that it'll hold up if things go wrong. And they believe that those contracts will hold up when the deal goes sideways or you end up in litigation. And really, none of that's true. And there's a fundamental reason why these AI contracts are problematic. AI has never litigated a case. They've never been in a courtroom, has no idea how a judge actually interprets language, has no feedback loop from real outcomes because most cases never go to trial. They get settled through real world experience through litigation attorneys like myself. And AI has none of that experience. How a specific judge in a specific jurisdiction actually rules on specific language, they have no clue. AI never litigated cases. It generates contracts based on scenarios, patterns, templates, not outcomes, not experience, not 20 years of watching what actually happens when a contract gets tested in court or in a business deal. Because I'm an entrepreneur and a litigation attorney for nearly 20 years. I have that experience. Your AI simply does not. And here's what AI doesn't know about contracts and why that ignorance becomes your liability and a huge liability. The kind of liabilities that cause your business to lose and the mistakes that you never want to make. Legal mistakes are irreparable. So here are the 5 ways I would attack your AI generated contract. Number 1 is hallucinated language. First thing I look for is that kind of stuff. AI fabricates clauses that sound real, but they have no legal basis. It uses legal terms in the wrong context. It references standards that don't exist in your jurisdiction. It generates language that sounds professional and sounds like legalese, but it means absolutely nothing in a courtroom. And I know this because I use AI and I read it all the time. And here's the problem. Somebody like you can't tell whether or not it's actually correct. It reads like a real contract, but when I put it in front of a judge, it falls apart. Courts don't care that it sounds right. They care what it means. And courts all day sanction lawyers right now for using AI in their contracts because those contract clauses really mean nothing a lot of times unless you know how to revise them. They're inconsistent and they're ambiguous. And that brings me to my second attack in a courtroom if we ever had to litigate against each other. The second thing I'm looking for in contracts is always ambiguity. And AI contracts are full of it. AI loves vague language in creating inconsistent terms. Reasonable timeframes, timely manner, as needed, reasonable, best efforts. These phrases sound legal and professional, but they leave so much room for litigation and ambiguity. And AI doesn't know that. And here's the rule that you need to know. When contract language is ambiguous, when it can be interpreted 2 ways, 3 ways, any different ways, courts presume against the drafter. That means against you. So a court is going to presume a contract and interpret it against you because it's your ambiguity. You wrote the contract. As a service provider, you wrote it. It's your obligation to be clear and not ambiguous. And by law, the judge is going to interpret that in favor of a consumer and against you because the burden is on you to have clear clauses in your contracts. And AI never does anything clearly. You got to work through that for hours before you get clarity using AI. So the next attack is the one that most entrepreneurs, most business owners never see coming, and it's the one that does the most damage in front of a judge or in any sort of litigation. This third thing I really look for is internal inconsistencies. And this is where AI contracts really fall apart. Inconsistencies. AI pulls from multiple templates, multiple sources, multiple legal frameworks, and it stitches them together without understanding how everything interacts. And like I said, they don't have real litigation experience. The result is a contract that contradicts itself. One clause may say that payments due in 30 days. Another one may say 15. One clause limits your liability. Another one creates it. One section defines the scope one way. Another section defines it differently. These aren't just weaknesses. They're internal inconsistencies that weaken the entire contract. And I can invalidate the contract because I've been trained to do that and I have that experience. And that's what makes this so dangerous. You think that you read it, it sounded fine. You had no idea that those two clauses were fighting each other or even inconsistent to begin with, because unless you're an attorney and you're trained and you've been to court, you're not going to see these inconsistencies. You don't know what to look for. I do. Imagine trying to fix your car using AI, but you've got no background in mechanics and doing any of this. So the fourth thing I'm looking at when I'm attacking your AI generated contract is what's not there. And you don't know what's supposed to be there. So how do you know what's not there? Now, AI generates what it thinks a contract needs, not what your business actually needs, not what the court's looking for, not what your specific industry requires, not anything based on experience, not what your client relationship demands. Like I said, what a generic contract template typically includes and what's missing is often more dangerous than what's wrong. And trust me, I've seen this over 20 years. Missing indemnification clauses, missing IP ownership language, missing dispute resolution process, missing key legal definitions, missing termination triggers, missing exits of the contract, missing limitation of liabilities, missing anticipated legal defenses baked into your contract, missing confidentiality obligations, missing punitive clauses in case the other side doesn't perform. I'm telling you, there's so many things missing from these contracts, it'll blow your mind. A contract's only as strong as what's inside it, but it's also as strong as what's not missing. Think about it this way. AI can tell you how to fix a car. It can walk you through that step by step, and it can sound like it's completely authoritative. Unless you're a mechanic, you don't know what it really left out. Like I told you, you don't know which step is missing. You don't know which part was never mentioned. And you know that AI has never repaired a car. The same way AI has never been in the courtroom and argued contracts. The same way AI has never had this real world experience that's not captured through case law, because 99% of cases settle. What happens in court and litigation is generally a secret, and it's only between the lawyer and the parties who went through it and the judges. How does AI know what really happens? It doesn't. And it's like most lawyers, they don't have that litigation experience, so don't trust them when it comes to contracts, because I've seen so many lawyers who've never been in courtrooms write contracts that don't hold any water. They'll get you in more trouble than you can imagine. The fifth way I'm going to attack your AI generated contract is that you or the author of that contract, the AI system, really has no experience behind that document. My contracts aren't generated, they're engineered. Every clause exists because I've seen the absence of it destroy someone. I told you my system. It's based on 5 enemies, 7 danger zones, 101 deadly mistakes. In 20 years, I've reverse engineered those mistakes through inversion. I've seen the contract provisions that work and what doesn't in business deals and in the courtroom. And that's the basis of my contracts. And that's the knowledge that I train AI and other softwares to create customized contracts. You get it? You see the difference? I have a track record based on real legal knowledge, and AI has none of that. It's trained on text, documents, patterns, not outcomes, not verdicts, not looking in a client's face when they realize that their contract just failed them and they're settling now in court or in a deposition, because AI doesn't have access to that. Most cases never go to trial, which means AI has almost no real feedback from what actually happens in court when a contract gets tested. It's generating documents in a vacuum with no idea what a judge in your jurisdiction is actually going to do with that language, nor is AI going to tell you the truth about the law like I do. I've been in that courtroom. I know what those judges do. I've worked for a judge, and I can tell you most judges are completely incompetent. AI is not going to tell you that. Now imagine sitting across from me in a deposition, and I'm pulling out your AI contract now that you know all of this. I'm flipping to page 3, right? I find that inconsistency. I flip to page 5. I find the missing clause. I find the ambiguous language in section 7, and I start to talk to you about this AI generated contract, and you have no idea what I'm saying because you just downloaded it from the internet, and I smile because you handed me everything I need. You thought you were legally protected, and you weren't. and now you're exposed. Now you're here in a deposition getting ready for trial, and you're about to lose because you relied on AI generated contracts, which are horrendous. I've been working with them now for years to generate good custom contracts based on my training and based on my battle tested experience. So have you ever used an AI generated contract in your business? Drop a yes. It's nothing to be ashamed of. Tell me your story. I'd love to read in the comments, and subscribe to this channel if you're gaining valuable knowledge, because this is what it's all about. I want to help you avoid the mistakes that cause entrepreneurs like you to lose so that you can win. So here's what separates a battle tested contract from AI generated ones. It took me years to train AI to even assist with my contract process. And even then, I review every single output because I know what to look for. I know what AI misses. I trained it. I know what it gets wrong. I know what it leaves out. I have an entire database of contracts and provisions. That's not something you learn from a prompt. That's something I've learned from 20 years in business deals, and most importantly, in courtrooms, in negotiations, in settlements. I've been in those rooms where contracts fail that never go to trial. Think about the mechanic analogy again. AI can tell you how to rebuild an engine step by step. It sounds completely confident, but a mechanic who has rebuilt 1,000 of those engines, they hear something in that description that's wrong. They know that. They know which step was skipped. They know which part was never mentioned. They know what AI is generating that's incorrect, what's missing, what's ambiguous. That knowledge doesn't come from reading about engines. It comes from working on them. It comes from experience, and that's huge. And law is a gray area. It's not black or white. Contract law especially. Gray areas are not where AI performs well at all. Gray areas are where experience wins, battle-tested experience, where judgment wins, where the person who has actually been in the fight knows something the algorithm doesn't. It's just like sports. You can learn how to dribble, you can learn how to pass, you can watch all this stuff on YouTube and train, but you're never going to know until you get in the game and you've done it. So what do? You don't have to throw AI away entirely, but you cannot rely on AI alone for your contracts. At a minimum, have a battle-tested lawyer review and fix your AI contracts before you use them. Have somebody in your corner, someone who's been in court, who knows how judges read language, who can help you solve problems, who knows what's missing before it becomes a $54,000 problem, because that's the typical liability that business owners face when they get into court. Better use contracts that were built from real litigation experience from the start than learning the hard way. That's what this is all about. Documents engineered by someone who has seen what fails, not generated by an algorithm that has only seen what exists in case law and the data that they can get. So here's the math. The average liability, like I told you, the lawsuit costs at least $54,000. A properly built contract costs a fraction of that. There's no excuse. You're not going to save money by using AI contracts. Use AI in other things that you're doing. You're deferring the cost and you're multiplying it later to get more damages, more pain and suffering. Trust me, I've seen it happen all day long. Now, AI is a tool. It's not a lawyer. It's never been in a courtroom. It does not know your business. It doesn't know your industry. It doesn't know what a judge in your jurisdiction is going to do with the language that it generated. It's not been privy to settlements. Your contract is your first line of defense. It should be your best weapon. It's a document that stands between you and a lawsuit. Make sure it was built by someone who's actually been in the fight. You can use AI, like I told you, but don't trust it when it comes to the value of your contract. Contracts are business, plain and simple. You used AI to generate your contract and you thought that you were protected. Now I showed you where you could be vulnerable, how I would attack you in 5 ways. Don't make it easy for an attorney to attack you. Build a contract that actually holds up in business, but more importantly in court if you ever have to get there. So if you want to know where your contracts and your entire legal foundation, your entire business are most legally exposed right now, take the free risk report in the description below. Click the link. It's literally 5 minutes. You'll see exactly where you're exposed. You'll learn about my system, the 5 enemies, 7 danger zones, 101 deadly mistakes that all entrepreneurs face that they have to avoid. And while you're checking out the description, grab the business defense blueprint. It's free. It's a complete overview of the legal defense system that I've built for entrepreneurs. My system, it's free. The link's in the description below. Take a look at it. Understand what business defense is. If this is hitting home, hit subscribe. I drop videos like this every week. This is what I do. I'm Karam Nahas, former litigator. I am the battle-tested lawyer. And remember, defense wins championships. So your job is to get legally bulletproof.